What would happen if I told you that a driver who was barely 24 years old managed to beat a 7-time world champion in a key test for the future of Formula One? What if that pilot was Oscar Piastri? Today I reveal to you why McLaren is in shock and why everyone is talking about what happened in Abu Dhabi. The post-season test in Abu Dhabi was not just another day on the calendar. It was the tangible beginning of a new era in Formula One. Behind closed doors, with an environment that was more technical than media, one of the most anticipated experiments in recent years was carried out. The first practical test with cars adapted to the 2026 regulations. What happened there could define the competitive landscape of the entire next generation. But before understanding the impact that Oscar Piastri had, you must first understand the magnitude of what was being tested. These were not normal cars. They are known as mules, not because they are slow, but because of their function. They are hybrids between the current regulation and the future. They take the chassis of the 2025 cars, but have been deeply modified in their aerodynamics and mechanics to simulate how the cars will behave under the future regulations. These mules carry reduced downforce, feature a different drag distribution, and crucially mount the new 18-inch Pirelli tires, which will come with a revised profile and a structure that responds very differently to wear, temperature, and type of riding. It wasn't just about turning on the track. It was a rolling laboratory where every sensor, every data, every reaction of the driver to the car's feedback was vital. In essence, it was like a final exam to evaluate how much the teams understand the direction in which Formula One is heading. The session was divided between rookies and regular drivers. The rookies used 2025 spec cars to gain experience. But the real attention, the one that mobilized Pirelli's technical directors, performance managers, and engineers, was on those who drove the mules. And it was in that context, technical, demanding, and full of uncertainty, that Oscar Piastri shone. After a difficult end to the season, where he finished in 10th position in the last race, few expected an outstanding performance. But it was right there, in that environment of pure analysis, where the Australian showed something that is not trained: instinct. While others sought to understand the car, Piastri felt it. He didn't fight it, he didn't overcorrect it. He interpreted it as if he had already raced under that regulation before. His final time, a 1 minute and 26.099 seconds, was more than a number. It was a statement. It was the sign that there are drivers who may not have the experience of world champions, but who already understand the technical language of the future better than many veterans. And all this within the framework of a test that, unlike a classification or race, has no public glory, but has immense strategic value. Because what was being tested in Abu Dhabi is not just a different configuration, it is a completely new design philosophy. F1 is heading towards an era where efficiency will be key, where aggressive aerodynamics will be replaced by simpler solutions, where the interaction between driver and tires will once again be a critical performance factor. Drivers who fail to adapt will lose their place, and those who anticipate this change can become the new leaders of the championship. Piastri, without microphones, without grandiose headlines, and without looking for it, has just opened a door that McLaren had not even anticipated. The door to a new internal leadership. Because when a driver understands a car that doesn't exist yet, everything you thought you knew about it changes. What happened in Abu Dhabi was more than just a good time on the table. It was a positive alarm that turned on the monitors in the McLaren garage. Oscar Piastri not only achieved an impressive record, he did so under conditions that revealed truths deeper than any Sunday result. What really shocked McLaren was how he did it. The MCL 39 modified for this test behaved like a prototype. Low downforce, non-linearly increased drag, and experimental tires. These combined variables generate an extremely unstable car, far from the balance normally sought in racing. But Piastri didn't just keep him on track. He managed to read its movements, adapt to its defects, and above all, extract real performance from it. It was not a casual turn with the DRS open at the right moment. It was a systematic progression lap after lap. McLaren engineers began the day with a plan. Compare data between Norris and Piastri, correlate the car's behavior with previous simulations, and validate aerodynamic hypotheses. But when they started receiving telemetry from the Australian, the script changed. There were areas of the circuit where the car had to be unstable by definition, by design. However, Piastri's inputs on the steering wheel, the recordings of the brake pedal, the way he dosed the acceleration, everything indicated that there was a deep understanding of the dynamic behavior of this mule. Halfway through the day, the flow of information on the pit wall was interrupted by a conversation that was not on the agenda. The engineers began to wonder if Oscar had managed to adapt his driving before the car was ready to be adapted to him. And this, in Formula One, is very rare. To put it in perspective, Lando Norris worked on the same car, but his approach was different. Norris concentrated on correlation programs, on giving stability to the data collected, on checking how well the CFD and wind tunnel predictions matched reality. His work was vital but more conservative. Meanwhile, Piastri set out to explore the limits. Not out of rebellion but out of reading. The difference was evident when analyzing the sectors of the route. In medium-speed curves, such as those in the second sector, Piastri was faster with less correction in the steering wheel. In hard braking areas, he took better advantage of the mechanical grip of the new tire, without blocking or losing the line. That's not just speed. It is communication with the car. It is instinctive confidence in reading the new dynamic behavior. When this happens, the team takes note. And McLaren did it. During the subsequent analysis, one of the lead engineers said something that sums it all up. Oscar showed us how we should design next year's car. A phrase like that is not thrown out at random. It means that the pilot's internal perception changed. He went from being a good performer to a possible key developer of the future car. And there is more. The test in Abu Dhabi served to evaluate not only the pilot, but also the technical environment that accompanies him. Piastri's performance was a reflection of an increasingly strong collaboration with his race engineer, Tom Stallard. This connection was critical. Stallard understood that the test should be an opportunity to set him free, to let Oscar explore without restrictions, without overloading him with instructions. The result was an unexpected symbiosis. Driver and car, still incomplete, functioning as a coherent system. That dynamic within McLaren has political and technical weight. In short, McLaren discovered something it didn't expect. Oscar Piastri can be more than a second driver. It can be the catalyst for future regulations. And if that's true, we need to start building around it. Sometimes in Formula One, the most important moment of the season doesn't happen in a race or in front of the cameras. Sometimes it happens in silence, in a private test, far from the show, when the public's attention has dissipated. And that is exactly what happened after the Abu Dhabi test. Oscar Piastri's performance not only shook the McLaren team, it resonated beyond the Woking box, creating a ripple effect throughout the paddock. First of all, the data did not go unnoticed. Piastri, in a prototype car with specifications for 2026, set the second best time of the day. But it wasn't the what, but the how that attracted the attention of other teams. Beating Lewis Hamilton in equal technical conditions, even if it was by a minimum difference of 0.039 seconds, was enough to set off the alarms. Because we are not talking about an official classification. We are talking about experimental, unpredictable cars and tires in development. Making a difference in that environment is what separates the adaptive from the context-dependent. Technicians from Ferrari and Mercedes, present at the test, requested access to the general data of the day, as is customary under the agreement of limited exchanges of information. The interest was not accidental. In these sessions, every movement can be a clue to silent talent. And Piastri wasn't just fast, he was clean, consistent, and technical. It did not wear the tires abnormally, it did not cause blockages that hindered the data collection work, and it also provided clear and useful information to the team. In the words of a Mercedes engineer, he behaved as if he were already in his third regulatory cycle, not in the second year of his career. This has profound consequences, because Formula One is not just about speed. It is development, it is adaptation, and it is foresight. What happened in Abu Dhabi generated a change in perception in the paddock about who could be leading the next generation of single-seaters. McLaren, which already came with the confidence of having won the Constructors' Championship in 2024, is now beginning to consolidate a dangerous narrative for its rivals. Not only do they have the best car of the current era, they could also have the most adaptable driver for the future. Formula One lives by moments. But not the moments that everyone sees, but those that mark a paradigm shift without making noise. Oscar Piastri did not lift a trophy in Abu Dhabi. He didn't get on the podium. He didn't celebrate. But he did something even more valuable. The conversation changed. It changed perceptions. And he did it with a twist, with a clean, precise, calculated execution, and loaded with meaning. This test was not just a development session. It was a vision test. While some teams are still solving the problems of the present, others are already trying to decipher the keys to the future. And in that context, McLaren was not only satisfied with the technical data. He came away feeling that their bet on Piastri might have been bigger than they imagined. Because in an environment where everything changes, what is most valuable is the one who best anticipates change. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.